Right now, 6:46, it may be years before we fully understand the impact of the BP oil spill on Louisiana's marshlands and wetlands. In the meantime, legislation will be introduced in the Senate today that will determine how fines from the BP oil spill will be distributed to Gulf Coast states for use in coastal restoration projects.
And this morning, Senator David Vitter is here to talk about the legislation, which is co-authored by fellow Louisiana Senator Mary Landrieu and other Gulf Coast senators. A truly bipartisan effort here.
Absolutely. We have at least 9 of the 10 Gulf senators. It's taken a while to corral everybody. As you might guess, there's been a lot of discussion about how these funds would be split among Gulf states, but a lot of effort has been going into that. I've focused on the 8 of the 10 who are Republicans. And so we're going to have a very strong bill introduced today, either 9 of the 10 Gulf senators or 10 of the 10 as original co-sponsors. Then we're all set to go to committee next week. I happen to serve on the EPW committee. The chair strongly supports it. We've worked out any issues there. We're going to have a manager's amendment there that will be adopted with my support that will move it out of committee. So the first important stage is being cleared, so I feel very, very good about that.
It seems a no-brainer that the 10 senators from the 5 coastal states would be on board on this thing.
Yeah, certainly the 10th is not going to oppose it anyway. We want him on as a formal co-author today, and we're working on that.
And then moving through the full Senate.
Yes, and then again, committee next week. That's pretty much all lined up, and I've been working with the chair and Democratic members of the committee on that.
So how much money are we talking about, and how would this benefit our coastline?
Yeah, this is about the Clean Water Act fines for the BP disaster. Those are fines under the Clean Water Act against BP that go to the federal treasury. And this bill says 80% of those would be dedicated to Gulf states, to Gulf restoration. That's probably going to be, the total is probably going to be $10 billion. So obviously 80% is $8 billion. Louisiana would get more than any other state.
Because we did suffer the most damage.
Absolutely.
And some of the money will be divided equally among all 5 states.
Right.
Then the states that got the most damage, Louisiana being probably the biggest, would get the lion's share of some of that.
There are 3 different pots within the 80%. One of those pots is divided equally, so every state has a minimum. But the other 2 are more or less based on real impact and environmental.
And we have that up on the screen there,
Right.
showing the distribution.
Right.
And how will this improve our coastline and save our coastline, which has been in jeopardy for generations?
Well, bottom line, it would mean billions to help fund what we've been planning and talking about for years. And we have been planning restoration projects and talking about them for years, but they take billions of dollars to implement. So this would be several $2 to $3 billion for Louisiana for those projects.
All right, now to the big issue in Washington right now, the raising the debt ceiling. That deadline, the president said August 2nd, is getting near all the time. There are some bills that offer some compromise, some that offer very little. This bill in the Senate by the Gang of 6, do you favor that?
I don't know yet because it's not a bill yet. It's an outline.
The outline, yeah.
And I've read the 2-page outline. That's obviously very different
Do you like
than
what
a
you've read?
100-page bill. I like a lot of parts of it, including fundamental tax reform, including getting rid of a lot of exemptions and deductions to lower rates and make us a lot more competitive. The key to getting hold of the deficit, in my opinion, is 2 things: real cuts and real growth. You can't just cut your way out of this. We need a healthy economy. If we have our present economy, we'll never solve the deficit problem.
But you're not against tax.
You can't just grow your way out of it. You need cuts and you need growth because growth produces more revenue.
And you're not against cutting tax loopholes, things like that?
No, but I want to use most or all of that to lower rates, make us more competitive, and grow the economy, which produces more revenue. But that's a lot different than just simply jacking up rates, trying to raise taxes that way.
So you don't think that we should raise revenue through tax increases?
I think we should raise revenue by reforming the tax system and producing a lot more growth.
Do you think there is, and I know that you're pushing the cut, cap, and balance legislation that was passed in the House. Do you realistically think that is going to happen with the 2/3 vote of both houses and ratification of the states? And if that is not realistic, why pursue that at this time?
I think it is realistic eventually, and in fact, I think it's absolutely needed eventually. I don't think we're going to get out of this mess eventually without a balanced budget constitutional
president
amendment.
says he
we're
will
gonna have
veto it.
that by-
The president doesn't have a veto on the constitutional amendment.
Oh, I'm
It
sorry, I'm
it
sorry,
doesn't go
on
to
the-
the president, and people strongly, strongly support a
Do you
balanced
think
budget constitutional amendment.
Wall Street is saying that we are courting disaster on a worldwide level? Do you think that Congress is going to act to raise the debt limit by August 2nd?
Well, first of all, Wall Street is saying that, including Moody's and Standard & Poor's, not just about the debt limit, but about the debt. And
But
so
the
my
first thing is the
prediction
debt
by-
limit, isn't it?
Correct. My prediction about August 2nd is that we're going to have some debt limit deal. Unfortunately, my prediction is we're probably not, at least by August 2nd, going to make real progress about getting our hands around
Do you think there will be a
spending and debt.
stopgap? You don't think that the economy is going to default, or the debt's going to default, do you?
No. Well, even if we didn't raise the debt limit on August 2nd, we wouldn't default. But no, I don't think it's going to be an issue August 2nd.
All right, Senator Vitter, we appreciate you coming in.
Thanks.
And before you leave the House,